Hi guys, this is the first of a multi-part video walkthrough series demonstrating upgrading Fusion from Fusion 1.2.x to 3.1.2, which is the latest version. For the purposes of this demonstration, for the first part, I'll be using Fusion 1.2.8 along with and I'll be upgrading to Fusion 2.4.5. So I already have a Fusion 1.2.8 instance set up on my system. It is a multi-node cluster. It has 3 Fusion instances running on an external Zookeeper ensemble, Zookeeper version 3.4.6. Throughout this series, we'll be using the same Zookeeper ensemble to upgrade our Fusion versions. This is done because in most cases this is how environments are set up in production, and so I'll try to mimic the same setup as closely as possible. Let me just show you what we have in the 1.2.8 Fusion. Right, so you can see I've created a test collection called test. I have 2 data sources. One is a JDBC data source and one is a web data source. I have indexed about 979 documents from cnn.com. So here are the 2 data sources, and the collection is split up between 3 Solr shards with 1 replica each. I will just show you the underlying Solr setup as well. And so this is what a Solr cloud looks like. This is the collection that we'll be working with through this series, which is test, split up between 3 shards, each shard on a different machine. Right, so now let's get started with the upgrade process. So currently I have Fusion running, so as the first step, what I want to do is shut down all instances of my running Fusion 1.2.8. Shutting down Fusion 1.2.8 also includes shutting down the Zookeeper. So if you are running an external Zookeeper ensemble, you want to shut that down once Fusion has successfully shut down. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. So yes, terminate. Right. So once you shut down Fusion and you shut down your Zookeeper ensemble as well, we'll first run through a series of checks to ensure that the environment is correctly set up to facilitate the upgrade. There are a number of checks that we need to do. Firstly, we need to ensure that the environment variables are correctly set up. Right, so we want to set 2 environment variables related to Fusion. The first is Fusion_home. This should point to your new installation of Fusion on Fusion 2.4.5, and the Fusion old home environment variable should point to the old installation, which is currently 1.2.8 in my case. Again, you want to have your Java home variable set to your JDK. Ensure that you have it set to your JDK and not your JRE. In addition, the upgrade requires that you have Python installed on your system. Python version required would be 2.7.14, which is the latest. So basically anything post 2.7.12 should suffice. Ensure that you have the Python system, the Python directory on your path as well. So you want to add. So in my case, I install Python on the default path, which is CPython 2.7. So I have CPython 2.7 as well as CPython 2.7 scripts, both of them on my setup on my path. Okay. Additionally, we require a couple of Python libraries to be installed, as those are used by the upgrade process. So there are two libraries involved. One is kazoo, the other is requests. It is simple to install these libraries. You'll be using pip for that. So all you want to do is open up cmd. Assuming your environment path is configured, pip is present in CPython 2.7 scripts, so you can just run pip install kazoo and hit enter. So in my case, I've already installed these libraries, so it'll just say requirements satisfied. If you haven't installed these libraries, then it'll probably ask you for authorization, and once you provide that, it'll install the libraries for you. So go ahead and ensure that both of these libraries are present. Once this is done, another thing we want to check for is make sure that all the ports that may be required by Fusion are open between all of your machines. So the list of these ports can be found on the website under installation and configuration of Fusion. Make sure to check Fusion, the latest Fusion version, which will be 3.1, for this information. Now, before we go any further with the process, one thing I missed on mentioning earlier is that I am performing this upgrade on Windows Server 2016, but the steps for performing this upgrade on Unix-based systems are similar. So you just need to substitute the Unix-based steps for the steps I'm performing over here, and the same can be found on the Fusion upgrade documentation on the documentation website. So now that we have made sure that the environment is properly set up and that Fusion 1.2.8 is not running, we'll start the actual upgrade process. So I have uncompressed a Fusion 2.4.5 instance right in this directory. You can do it anywhere. Just ensure that the environment variable is set correctly. Now make sure that this Fusion has never been run. So it should be a freshly unzipped instance, and it should have never been started. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll copy over our Fusion configurations from 1.2.8 to 2.4.5. So in 1.2.8, you want to go to the bin directory. Most of the configurations for Fusion 1.2x are located in the config.cmd or the config.sh files. So I'll open the config.cmd, and the two main things I want to copy is the Fusion zk parameter variable and the Fusion Solr zk variable. Now if you're running an external Solr cluster, which I am not, I am running embedded Solrs, then this string will probably be different for you. So the Fusion Solr zk string will point to the Zookeepers of your external Solr cluster, and your Fusion zk string will point to the zk ensemble for your Fusion cluster. In my case, since both of them are the same, the strings are the same, but so we want to copy over both of these strings. So I'll just copy this, and we'll be pasting this. So go to 2.4.5 bin, and again it'll either be so in 2.4.5 it has been moved to conf directory. So in conf, config.cmd file or config.sh file is located. Edit this and paste the appropriate values for Fusion _zk and Fusion Solr zk. So that's done. Now make sure to do this on all your Fusion instances. Right, now that you have put in this change for all your Fusion instances, we'll now copy over the module wise changes that you may have made. So in Fusion 1.2x in the bin directory, let's say you've changed the heap settings for the API or Solr or connectors or the other modules. So these are stored in the respective module execution script. So for Windows that will be for example solr.cmd, and for Unix it will be solr.sh or just Solr. So let's say I have changed the Java options. For example, the maximum heap I allocated to my Solr module. In my case this is default at 2 GB, but in case you have modified your Java options, you want to copy these as well. And again, go to Fusion 245 in bin this time, go to your solr.cmd or one of the other scripts and paste those changes over here as well. For me, most of them are default, so I'll just leave them as is. Now that this is done, we've copied over the configurations, and we'll move over to the next step. So the next step is to copy over all of our data files from 128 to 245. So data files of significance are your connectors data, your natural language processing models if you're using those, and your actual Solr indexes. So we can find the connectors data and the NLP models under your Fusion old home and data directory. So you do not want to copy over the entire connectors directory. Instead, inside the connectors directory you will be able to find two more directories, crawldb and lucid.jdbc. Crawldb contains information about the data that has already been crawled, and it is used in incremental crawling. We won't be copying this over since there's really no point in doing so, because we'll be upgrading all the way to Fusion 3.x where these files become incompatible. So we'll just be copying over the lucid.jdbc. So just copy this folder and you want to paste this in Fusion 245 in the data folder in connectors. Just paste this over here. Again, do this for all your Fusion instances. So now that the connectors data has been copied over, you want to copy the NLP models from 1 to 8. Now in my case I haven't really created any models, so for me everything is still default, so I'm not copying this over. But in case you have created some new models, you want to copy the NLP folder from Fusion 1 to 8 and paste it in Fusion 245 and data, and just override the entire NLP folder that exists over here. Again, do this on all your Fusion instances. Now we'll copy over the actual Solr indexes. So these can be found in your Fusion 1.2x installation under Solr. So you want to copy over all files other than your zoo.cfg file. This is not required since we're using an external ensemble. So copy this from here, go to Fusion 245. Now over here the directory has slightly changed. So now your Solr index is sit inside data, inside a folder called Solr. So paste this here and overwrite any existing files. Again, do these for all your instances, and ensure that you copy the correct files over on every instance, because the indexes on every instance will probably be different if you have multiple shards. So exercise caution while copying over the Solr indexes. Right, now that you've copied over your Solr data as well, we'll start running the upgrade scripts to upgrade the Zookeeper setup. So for that, first we need to ensure that Zookeeper is running on all machines. So go ahead and start your Zookeeper ensemble. So now that we have our Zookeeper ensemble up and running, we have to run 3 steps using the Fusion upgrade scripts to finish our upgrade process. So these upgrade scripts can be found on the Lucidworks GitHub repository, the link to which can be found on the Fusion upgrade documentation. So I've downloaded the repository here. It's called Fusion upgrade scripts master. Again, it's a compressed file. I've decompressed it here. Now there are 3 steps that need to be run. and they are all going to be run with Python. So this is why we installed Kazoo and requests before. So these 3 steps are: the first is to run a script called upgrade ds1.2.4.py dash data sources all. After that, we'll run the download upload ds pipelines in 2 steps. It'll download and transform and then upload the correct data to the new instance. So now that our Zookeeper ensemble is running, let's go ahead and run this step. So you want to navigate to your Fusion Upgrade scripts master directory, go inside src. This is where we find the upgrade ds1.2 to 2.4py script. So simply open up a new terminal here and put in this step and hit enter. So seems like it started Zookeeper, connected, and it has successfully fetched all of the Z nodes. So this step looks good. Now we'll go ahead and run the next step, which is the download upload DS pipeline step. So all of these steps need to be run on only any one node, because they run on your Zookeeper and your Zookeeper instances are synced internally. So this script is in a slightly different place. This script is actually in your bin directory right here. So again, open up a new terminal in your bin directory and we now execute this step. So this requires that you provide your Zookeeper connect string. In my case, this is my connect string. So this is the same as what we pasted in earlier in the config.cmd file for the fusion_zk variable. So this has to be run as Python download upload ds pipelines.py --zk connect, the zk connect string -- action, and then download. So run this, and okay, so it says that it has removed certain parts and has downloaded a temporary working directory for processing the data and re-uploading it to Zookeeper. Right, so before we start Fusion and perform the last step of the upgrade, what we'll do is we'll copy over our database connector jars. So you can go to Fusion 128 data connectors, Lucid JDBC, JDBC test, and I have one Postgres jar. So I'll just copy that, go to my Fusion 245 instance, go to apps, Jetty, connectors, web apps, connectors, webinf, lib, and paste this here. Okay, once again, make sure to do this change on all the 3 servers. Now that we've put in the jar, we just want to go back to Fusion 245 bin and we'll start it up, and again start it up on all 3 servers. Right, so now that Fusion is started, we'll go ahead and run the last step of our upgrade script, which is uploading all the data that we downloaded in the previous step. So let's navigate to the upgrade scripts master bin. So we already have all of the data here. Let's quickly pull up a new command prompt, copy this, paste it here, and hit enter. Now enter your password and wait for it to finish, and it is done. So this officially completes our upgrade process. Now we can actually go ahead and check whether all of our data is in. So let's just navigate to 8764, which is the UI. Let's see. So log in with the admin account, and fantastic, test collection is here with 979 documents and 2 data sources. Okay, so this completes the first part of our walkthrough on upgrading Fusion, and I'll see you in the next part. Thanks.